Folks, welcome back. Folks, I'm kidding. So I had a good amount of people request a conversation on the whole internet, social, online selling marketplace and the human psychology of selling. And I thought this was a good time. Enough of you all asked me, and with the sticker shock prices, I had so many messages on this. I thought this was a good conversation to have. So first, let's back up. So enough people keep messing. Rudy, have you seen the price collapse over here? Do you see the store's going to dump their Carlo Manor over here? What do you think? Are you going to make a move? What's going on? So whenever we see these shocking swings, it always gets a lot of emotional attention. Now, let's talk about what that kind of means. Sorry, something fell. First, we can talk about e-commerce. In the world of e-commerce, there's a thing called shock pricing. And it's a system and a tactic used by online stores and sellers to kind of, I don't want to say convince or trick, but it's a way to get other people to advertise for you. So for example, if I make a video and I say something dramatic, or I make a Patreon post, I know that's going to make waves. I know that there's going to be groups of people who watch this video, or patrons that support me, who are going to screenshot it and post it elsewhere, and they're going to pretty much do free advertising and marketing for me. Now, in the world of the internet, there is no such thing as bad marketing. No matter how much someone loves or hates you, they are acting as a free advertiser for you. They could bash you every day, their whole life. They could have pictures of you on the wall, or it could be someone that you just absolutely admire. No matter where on the spectrum you are, any person who kind of uses you as a way to maybe get clicks or views or thumbs up or retweets, or I don't know what it is on the Facebook or Twitter or Reddit. I'm assuming it's all thumbs up or something. But these people, you don't have to pay. Like I always say in life, there's certain things you don't need to pay for. And if you kind of have an idea of what you're doing, there are things in life you don't really need to pay for. Obviously, the oldest meme and joke in the book is, intimacy or sexual stuff. You shouldn't have to pay for it, right? Well, advertising, you shouldn't have to pay for it, right? There are certain things that, if done properly, or if you know how the world works, you shouldn't need to game the system or pay for it and force it, or pay for fake views or pay for fake clicks. You shouldn't need to do that. The market will naturally do its own thing. So that brings me to what's going on. So for example, on the Carlo Manor thing, we had recently, I had so many messages on this. I was like, oh my God. We had recently a store who's put front page clearance, Carlo Manor play boxes, $99. And, some people got so wound up, this and that. And people were like, should I buy them all? What should I do? I said, well, calm down, Buttercup. That's a shock. That is achieving exactly what the company wants it to do. And it's a very smart thing for them to do it, because they really didn't change the price. They didn't really fire sell anything. They didn't really do anything. But to a lot of people who just, I don't want to say fall for stuff, but maybe are easily lured in, those are not actual prices that you can hold the box, walk out of the building with it, or open your front door and see the box at your house. Those are not prices you can actually get. Okay? Now, usually shock pricing is a gross price, not a net price. That's rule number 1 in e-commerce. When you're gonna run a business on using that style, make the price as low as possible, but make sure people can't actually get that out the door. It's not a shipped, it's not an out the door price. You will have a certain variety of customers that will screenshot or post on social media, hoping to make them look like the cool guy, or look what I found, everybody! Look at me, I found it for you, post it. You're gonna get those kind of individuals, which are kind of your unpaid free employee to advertise for you on the internet. So that goes back to what I was saying. So when you get people to use your name and post for you, they're the ones keeping you around. They're the ones expanding your company's name to new people. They're just too stupid to understand it. And those type of Timmy mindset mentalities, the people at the top of most companies understand this, everybody. You need to understand out in the world that the world of e-commerce and culture is very different today than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago in early internet days, in old school, what they call old world media, legacy media, television and radio. The world is so different. Okay, it's so different. And in the digital age, where the most valuable asset is getting your brand out there, getting your name out there, getting people's eyeballs or views or clicks, or that is the most valuable currency in our society right now. Raw data. Okay, so there's the next phase of this. The gross price and the net price of what you can actually walk out the door with a box, it can be pretty, usually historically, I remember there was a study done, you can Google this, just like the psychology of online shopping. And as long as the net price is within like 20% of the shock number, the average person will still proceed to actually pay the higher price because they feel committed. It's a very fascinating psyche, okay? So what that means, if I say Rudy shock pricing, like for example, $99, okay? On the $99 shock number, once you add to cart, Rudy, it still shows 99! Boom, baby! I was like, you didn't make an account and log in and check out. You're a cute little buttercup. And now that person has to go to checkout, create an account, put their name, their address, maybe PayPal or direct credit card or email or phone number, all this stuff. Now, once you go through all these screens, and then you select your billing address, your shipping address, and you choose which shipping, now you get, the more screens you can get the individual human meat popsicle to click through, the more committed that individual gets. And every additional layer that they are in is increasing the probability that they will follow through and not create an abandoned cart. An abandoned cart is a term used on online e-commerce of how many people kind of click on your website, but don't and add to cart or maybe start checking out, but they don't actually place the order and make the payment. Now, in this example, this particular large store had $99 Carlo Manor play boxes. Which again, good price. At release, wholesale was $120. I'm sure now if you call a distributor and you actually tell them you want to buy something, they'll probably give you a discount at this point because everyone's like, really? You want? Because Carlo Manor, I think it's at $0 or -0, right? Isn't it -0? I think Carlo Manor pays you to go to Taco Bell. And it's one of these things where now you go to checkout and it says, plus $8 shipping. And you're like, oh, well, I guess $108 a box is still pretty. That's still below TCG Player's $110. Okay, enter in your zip code billing address. 9% sales tax. Oh, crap. Okay, so 99 plus 8. Okay, so now I'm 107. And then what do I have now? $9 in tax? Okay, so now, what am I now? 116 or 117? Oh. Well, dang. At release, they were 120 before they tanked. Huh. I guess it's not much of a collapse, is it? So, but here's the kicker. By the time someone gets to that endpoint, the probability that they will accept and pay the higher price is very high. And when I say very high, it's probably going to be around 75%. It's going to be between that 60-80% range based on historical data in the industry. That once people can get that far and you commit them, they've already got their payment information in, they got their address, they've made an account, they have that commitment. As they say on some other categories in sales, the customer and the client versus the dealer, they become stickier. And it's something like that financial firms and banks had taught me years ago when I had a real job, is you want the client to be as sticky as possible. Hence, Apple and the Apple ecosystem of, iPhones and computers and everything is the more Apple products you have, and once you're used to that lifestyle, you are never going to get away from it. You are not going to say, you know what, I'm going to wake up and be an Android guy today. That doesn't work that way because all your stuff between emails and photos and backups and phones and computers is tied to a certain ecosystem, making you an extraordinarily sticky client for Apple Inc. So the same principles apply to shock pricing in the CCG collectible world with LGSs and blah, blah, blah. Now, this hasn't been as big of a conversation point recently because eBay and TCG Player has kind of solidified and brought the whole market together. TCG Player pricing, because they just list all the stores, you can easily do it, versus eBay, you got to kind of comb through people who do fake listings and it's one booster pack versus one box. It's kind of annoying. So the industry is kind of consolidated to a more easier to reach price point. So we don't see as much of this as we used to see years ago. But it still goes on whenever we see an extraordinarily large panic to the downside of a collapse because people love drama, or an extraordinarily pump or a spike or to the moon because people love to be freaked out and then get that shock of what's happening. I can't believe this. Now I really want it, but I can't get it. Your brain goes through all these different layers of, I hate Rudy, but I love him sometimes, but he's an idiot. How does he not know how to play Magic? What do I do? Oh, I'll just get tacos. You go through these different layers, you know. But I really thought it was important to make this video because I just want a lot of you out there to understand the psychological approach that websites use. Okay. Now, if someone wants to give me, you know, data or something that shows something different, or it is fully, you know, a different price that's not shifting during checkout, that's a different conversation. But, you know, I hate to say it, but that's not good business. You know, for the last 9 years I've been on YouTube, you know, I've had endless hundreds, if not thousands of emails through the goods and bad times of people saying, why would you buy Rudy $89 draft boxes? You know, my local store will sell them for $59. Or online, I saw it for $92. Why would you pay a subscription fee to Rudy and talk to him and be a patron, support him? Yeah, why would you do something like that? And, you know, you have these tug of wars because a lot of people don't understand the value and the actual out the door price. Now, what happens, and what I knew would eventually happen, is after so much time went by, people would realize, well, actually, that is a decent price. Well, wait a minute. And I've had this happen so many times, and it happens to LGSs all over the country and all over the world, where people quote things and they try to get you to price match or we do this, but the quotes are very misleading and the data is very skewed to a way in whatever the narrative. If Rudy wants you to believe something's pumping, you know, I'm gonna quote the number, the most highest price number, right? And let's pretend the lower ones don't exist. Or if I want you to believe that something's collapsing, so you're supposed to sell me all your cards real quick, you know, there's ways where you can do what they call selective data and you ignore the rest. Or I could say things like, look, stores are down 30% on Karlov Manor play boxes. They paid $125 and now they're $99. They're down 25% before shipping and fees. But that's not quite the exact number. That makes it sound more dramatic because unfortunately, the average, I don't know about the rest of the world, but the average American in this country is just kind of disappointing because of our culture and education. It's an issue in the United States where the education system is just awful. In real world skills of like the taxes, the IRS tax code. How do the taxes even work? What's an LLC? What's a corporation? What's a Schedule C? What's active versus passive? What's long-term versus short? I mean, it's just not taught. You know, people don't know. You know, it's the same concept when I see people paying cash at the store. I'm like, what are you doing? What, like, do you not know how finance works? Like, credit card fees to grocery stores, the price is built into the price of the unit. At least use a cashback credit card and get a discount and undo that and reverse back 1 or 2%. Just pay it off in full. Like, are you just, you know, there's so many little details and layers. And yes, a lot of you all want me to tilt back into more financial videos. And guess what? This is probably the start of that. I do have a whole list of financial videos. We're going to kind of tilt back more into that because a lot of you all just keep asking for more whiteboard videos, financial videos, and follow-ups. And we do need to do that, and we're going to. And it's just one of these things where I don't think people realize how they're getting confused on these price quotes. You know, when I say Rudy's going to sell, I don't even know, a box of, if I'm going to sell I don't even know, a master case of Karlov Manor at $179 ship. You know, I'm not going to say, hey, well, by the way, you have to add $100 for shipping, and now you're going to add an extra $200 on top. Like, that's the number. All the fees, the shipping costs, everything's built in. I'm not going to say no, and I add 3% for your PayPal fees, and that, you know, other people in smaller businesses and startups people who aren't the most affluent in business are the most fee sensitive and tend to be the most jittery. And usually a red flag is if you're trying to work with someone and they say to you, whoa, I'm not paying that 2.9% PayPal fee. You want to send me $100? No. I'm not paying that $3. You need to send me $103 or fuck off. Like, usually when you run into stuff like that, congratulations, you've run into a fee-sensitive Timmy who's focusing on chasing pennies and probably not focused on the dollars they're losing so they can pick up the pennies on the ground. Now, there are times where that context becomes interesting because on large scales, every little savings of pennies can become big. But watching some people focus all their time on, okay, let's wait, now 8 cents or 9 cents? Where in reality, when you hit us, now again, small numbers are important when you're starting out. I'm not going to downplay that. But at the same time, you can't focus in and hone in all your time of being fee sensitive on PayPal or being fee sensitive on eBay. Well, one thing Rudy doesn't talk about is, if you got to sell something, you got to pay 12% in online fees and, eBay fee and PayPal fee. So again, if you sell a $1,000 item, you're only going to walk away with $880 and then take off $10 for shipping, $870. See, he doesn't bring that up. No, we bring it up quite a bit, and that's just part of it. And I don't know why that's such a big deal. It tells me how amateur so many sellers and younger individuals, they haven't been run through the gauntlet and punched in the face like me. I've been punched in the face, and I've had so many breakfasts with Chuck Norris. I've seen so many angles and so many crashes, so many bad nights, so many good times. I've seen so many cycles. I have such a numbness to it maybe. Like, wow, if I sell a huge home run and Rudy makes $100,000 on a weekend, I don't go out and celebrate. I don't do anything. If I have to sell a product at a loss just to break even or something, or to only lose 10,000, or, oh, well, we just had Carlos Manor, or this and that. Oh, we lost this. Okay, well, Rudy, at launch, I made 10 grand. Okay, but the leftover little bit that didn't sell, I lost 20 grand. Okay, so I'm negative 10. That's fun. And I put time and my life into it, which is the most valuable thing. That's part of it. Those are the ebbs and flows of it, okay? So the point of this video is please make sure when you're going to a local LGS or you're trying to do business or something, understand that make sure when you're quoting prices of things, if you're quoting a public online price, make sure it's an out-the-door price with all shipping, handling, taxes, or fees, or whatever else the website may have, minimum orders or something. Make sure you're quoting an end final unit price. Do not quote, gross numbers to try to make a big deal or post online to get your little thumbs up, and so people get, oh, thanks so much, man, for telling me. Because, when those people go to check out, they're going to realize really quickly that they got bamboozled. And some of those people are still going to pay the higher price anyways, and they're just going to say, I already filled out the profile, I already did it. And that's the point of this video. That's the point of me talking about this with you all. That's the point of me trying to explain that, don't fall for kind of shock pricing. Don't get tricked to think that, God, what was that? There was something. I'm trying to think of what it is. I think it was like back in Hour of Devastation or Ixalan era. Not the new Ixalan, like Rivals of Ixalan original. I have an Ixalan box here. No, I don't. Actually, here's a good example. Like back in the day, okay, early days of eBay type stuff, we would have these really cool like fat pack type things, okay? And they had really cool like books. You had Fifth Dawn packs. You had an actual book, like posters and checklists and neat things. They would give like Wizards and Hasbro would be so proud of a unique product that they would give you. This is actually called a fat pack. Before you can't say the word fat, even though Rudy's getting fat. And I love my waffle fries. And it's one of those things. God, it's covered in dust. It's probably kind of faded looking on camera. But this is one of those things where, back in the day on eBay, in the early days, like stores would list these things, okay? And instead of like $29, is there an MSRP on this? Wasn't it like $19.99 or $29.99? So back in the day, this would be listed on eBay. Let's say this is $30. Back in the day, people would do advertising and pop-ups on your computers and would say, Fat Pack $9.99. But then when you go to check out, it would say $20 shipping plus tax. So you still paid the full $30 plus tax, you didn't actually get a discount, but you clicked on it and you went to the checkout and it drove traffic to a particular company. There was a lot of that dirty bait and switch stuff that went on years ago. Now, thankfully, websites like eBay and TCG Player, like if you go on TCG Player and they list all the cheapest and most expensive, thankfully, it also wraps in the shipping price to help out. So, I hope this helps some of you. It's kind of an entry-level video, but it's something I felt need to be talked about. There's not enough basic discussion on the way these things works. Okay? Next video here, I think I'm going to film it right after this one. I'm going to have a conversation on the fees and liquidity. I think that's going to be an interesting... Commissions and fees, I think, needs to be an interesting conversation. That's going to be the next video I'm going to film coming up here. Probably I'll release it a couple days after this one. But the conversations on fee sensitivity, we're going to hone in on that. And the whole anti-fees online between payment processing fees, eBay, TCG Player fees, and why the Timmys are so stupid and they're just short-sighted. And it just shows they're never going to amount to anything because they're so obsessed with trying to be fee evasive. How it just shows that their thoughts are not in the right place. Fees have existed in everything. Okay, and I'm not going to go into this video, but it's just funny that you think trying to sell a car, or you buy, even you buy a car from a dealership, you got DMV fees, you got tag fees, you got registration fees. You're going to buy a house or sell a house? Oh, you got closing fees and realtor. The fees exist in everything, folks. It's kind of a bizarre concept how people act like fees in the collectible world is some isolated thing. Have a great day. As always, I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching. And as always, since everybody hates Rudy, I'm sure I have open patron slots. And if you want to support me and send me private messages, I respond to everybody always. Sometimes it takes me a couple days. And if you want to see all the behind-the-scenes crazy sales that Rudy's involved with the unbelievably large patron army and everything that goes on, it is quite the fascinating thing. Even if you never want to buy anything because you think evil Rudy ruins your life. Well, she was cute. I'll give you that. Penis.